Hi everyone, this is AutoML training Kubeflow community meeting. I think I can start with sharing my screen. So the two things I really want to discuss today just about the algorithms framework, and I don't know, like currently, if we take a look in our repo, we don't really show the user that which framework we support there in README. I don't know, maybe we should, because the problem is like in our frameworks, for example, in HyperOpt, under HyperOpt, we support different sort of the HP tuning algorithms, like random, I think also TP, which is tree partition estimators, and some other things. I don't know, will it be like easier to just show the table with all of the supported frameworks and all of the supported actually algorithms there, to just directly show user that, okay, you can run like Bayesian optimization, but you can use skopt, or you can use any other like algorithm that we, any other framework that we support. What do you think? Like, will it be like easier to actually navigate between different algorithms if we see this sort of the table?
Is this table the one we have in the docs?
I'm not sure you have in a doc, so because if we just check it, what we have right now. Yeah, so currently we have a section called running an experiment. No, it's not here. Yeah, so we have search algorithm in detail, and we have like a list of the algorithm that we support. But in the real like use case, we support more algorithms because like these algorithms is just written under different frameworks. So because I think grid search you can use in KDP using Chocolate, which is one framework for optimization. Also, like you can use HyperOpt. So it might be easier to show all of the supported frameworks and algorithms somewhere. I don't know. Because for example, like for CMAS, like this covariance matrix adaptation, we like recently supported another algorithm, which we probably should, I don't know, should just show the users somewhere in the docs. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think?
Another small question. Can the user also select which one of the framework to use? For example, if I would like to create an experiment with covariance matrix adaptation, then could I use either GobTuna or the newest framework?
Yeah, I think it is possible because you have kdip config. In kdip config, you just specify here which image you are using, like for this algorithm. So for the random, you can specify like HyperOpt or any other like frameworks which support random algorithm. Yeah, currently I'm not sure that we have a table with all supported images for each algorithm.
So this would be the next question. Then for each framework, we would need to also have a list of these. Here's an image for this framework. Here's another image for that framework.
Yeah. So yeah, basically like the list of the images and list of the supported algorithms in this image. But image basically means framework, which we not all of them actually, because some of the images, like for example, for Hyperbond or for darts, we have our own implementation. So we're not using any other like frameworks. But in general, yeah, I think it makes sense to just simply have a table with supported with images and supported frameworks or supported algorithms. Yeah.
Yeah, I really agree with
Hmm.
that, but I also had another idea now that I just saw it.
Yeah.
Would it also make so if I understand correctly right now, if I submit a new experiment that I wanted to do to use specific algorithm,
Okay.
then the suggestions controller will actually use the config map to see which image to actually use, right?
Yep. Yeah, for the
Would it
suggestion.
make sense to extend a little bit the API of the experiment to also have an optional field to define the image over there as well? And if it's missing, then to use the one from the config map?
Yeah, like this is an interesting question because like I think before that we discussed that why we're actually using kdip config, because this is more like system information, which is not like user facing. Like yeah, regular user will not like change the images. But yeah, maybe we can. The problem is like because in the config map you have not only like image settings, you also have like a volume settings, you have the what is it, like source settings here, um, and the question is like how we can show. Yeah, actually we have this thing. So currently in the config map you have a like image pool policy, also like service account name, which attached to the suggestion deployment. So it is like hard to actually define everything in the experiment API. Yeah, but I mean, we can have this sort of discussion. Maybe use default values uh, for the other settings if user just want to use custom image. Yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe UI can help us, because in that case we can have some sort of the select box where if user just submit an experiment and just select the different image, we can just simply update the config map with this image. What do you think?
I think this would be kind of strange UX because
Mm-hmm.
then they then I don't the concept of the config map kind of slightly changes because
Yep.
then it's not like one central config map, but people might be changing it whenever they are deploying newest image.
Mm-hmm.
Another
Yeah. Yeah. This.
the first
Mm-hmm.
just spitting some thoughts as well. I think what Kip serving does, which is in their inference service, they
Mm-hmm.
have a component called the predictor, and this component extends and also extends the API of a pod spec. Because looking at the config map of Kadib we have right now, it's actually a pod spec. It has the image pool policy, the
Okay.
limit. So one idea would be to extend the spec to also be extend the pod spec. So people could define if they want the pool policy and the resources, but the config map would be a default configuration if anything would be missing.
Oh, so you mean like user can define all of these settings in the experiment, but in the meantime, yeah. The question is like we're not like planning to change API a lot in the future, right? So we want to make the API stable, uh, but in that case, how we can even control it? Yeah, I don't know. This is like we can. I mean, we can discuss about it. Yeah, but like for our users, what is the easier way? Because I'm not kindly sure. Because the suggestion, as I said before, like originally we tried to hide this part of the implementation from the user, and to just use only experiment there. Um, but yeah, maybe I will just create an issue. We can discuss about it.
And one
Get
last
it.
question,
Mm-hmm.
not question, just idea. I think
Okay.
that if we also move forward with having these config maps per namespace, not just one global one, will also help people because then a different team in this namespace can have their own settings for and frameworks they use for a different team in another
Mm-hmm.
namespace. Although I don't know, I
Yeah.
think we had some interest in implementing this feature, but do you think this will be a API
Mm-hmm.
breaking change, so we shouldn't do it?
Yeah, to have a config per namespace, right? So basically not just one for all the namespaces. Yeah, we can think about it as well. Because the question is like here, who will actually control it? if it's like the user resource, it might be better to like have this pair namespace. Do you know like how this works like in KF serving? Because in KF serving they also have a config maps with the images, right?
I'm missing that info. I have to look it up. I'm not sure
Okay.
right now.
Okay. Yeah, I think we can also like ask our users about it, because like the question is, in that case, we probably should deploy the each config map once we create the user profile in the Kubeflow with the default settings. Yeah, because currently we're not doing this in the profile controller. Yeah, but okay, I mean, we'll just take a look how we can just manipulate this config. Yeah, and as I said before, like currently we have only this table. Maybe we have something similar, but I don't know, like put it in a README. So basically we say like HyperOpt support these two algorithms, like Chocolate support these kind of algorithms. Yeah, maybe it's just better to think about this table and just move it to the README directly. Okay. Yeah, another thing that I want to discuss, like how do you know, like what is the best way to actually organize the examples in our repo? Because currently all of the examples, they're not actually like we don't have a folders for the examples to maybe put them under the particular framework or like particular type of the optimization we're doing. Yeah, I don't know, it's like more question like to the user, but do you have any ideas how we can maybe make it easier? Because we're also planning to move pipelines examples here from Kubeflow pipelines, like regarding Zucatip, actually, at least.
So what are your thoughts about it? What are the main, how would you like to further organize
So
them?
maybe, yeah, so maybe I was thinking like we can organize them per framework, or I don't know, per optimization. So maybe put all of the Kubeflow actually, because like in the example you can use a different configs, right? Like different trial templates. So for example, like we have an example with MPI, which is this one. We also have example like for TF job, this one. So maybe we can put like all of the Kubeflow examples in the one repo, or like in the one folder, and maybe we can like think how we can, because the question is like what should we do with the normal like examples, like with the Bayesian optimization with random algorithm. Does it like make sense to to leave it as it is, or I know it's like the the question is how like it make it easier.
Just personally, I kind of like the fact that I can see most of the, when I was at least developing the UI, I like the fact that I would navigate to the examples and see, okay, this is
Okay.
grid search, this is hyperband, this is the metric strategy. So at least having some basic ones for the algorithms, I think it makes sense to have them at the top level, but we can also discuss about adding framework folders as well to show the
Okay.
frameworks there. Just
So
some thoughts.
so maybe like the basic example in the top level of example repo, and yeah.
Or even right there under the V1 beta 1, just the basic ones, and also organize more folders with add some folders with frameworks as well.
Yeah, because for example, like in GoPtuno framework, like recently we just updated, we just added this restart strategy, which is like another setting, and currently we had to actually directly modify this example. It's maybe like make more sense to have two different examples with the like with explanation how does it like work, and not putting everything in under one example, right? Yeah, but yeah, I will also like create an issue for this, because the question is like how to make it like easier for the user to actually see this. Yeah, maybe we should also like try to have like more examples for other like frameworks, because for example, like for Chocolate, we support a lot of like quasi-random, also like Bayesian optimization as well, which we're not using right now. And maybe also like it can help us to have some sort of benchmarking, maybe to see, to like show the user that you can use this one and that one in the different use cases. Yeah, I will try to. So yeah, let's just discuss what it's in the issue. Do you have any other comments or ideas how we can do it?
Have you heard any other user feedback about, hey, I was searching this example and I couldn't find it, or let's put it over here?
So like from some previous meetings, I think the biggest question was like, we don't have a good tutorial how to get starting without Kubernetes cluster. So I was actually like planning to create the example with using just a simple client cluster to just deploy the simple KDP example. So basically, we should just update this Minikube demo, which is kind of old. I think it's 2 years old. Yeah. But overall, I didn't hear the feedback that's it's hard to find the example. It's hard to manipulate between example. But in the future, is just was thinking if we just extend the algorithms, and if we just add the more like advanced support, we definitely should think how to organize the different sort of the examples. But it's fine. I mean, we can go ahead.
Do you think in the future it would be in a state where, for example, for each algorithm, we would have 2 or 3 or 4 different frameworks?
We might do. I don't know. Like it depends. Currently, we don't have like much algorithms which support the same frameworks. Sorry, like many different frameworks which support the different algorithms. Like we have, I think, only a random and Bayesian optimization. But in general, yes, because like all of the actually HP tuning, at least frameworks, they're pretty similar. And it really depends on which one we will support in KDP, because like this like hyperopt and like optune skop is very popular in HP tuning world. And I don't know, like we don't have, I think, plans to right now support other framework, but we can change it in the future as well. And by the way, also like a lot of advanced algorithms, we don't have the frameworks for them. Like for hyperband, I'm not sure. Probably we do have, but it's hard to it will be hard to actually implement it inside the suggestion itself. These frameworks.
So then, again, just spitting some thoughts. What comes natural to me with how I've seen the project, and coming from someone that have used mostly the UI and then not like directly apply the CRDs, I think it might make sense to organize based on the algorithms, and then inside there say, okay, here's one with hyperup, here's one with chocolate, here's a simple YAML, here's another YAML.
Oh, I see.
Just
so
that's it.
Yeah, so basically it's better to actually have the algorithm level structure instead of like framework level structure. Yeah, I think I agree with that. And currently we just point that this is like research. This is like the covariance matrix adaptation algorithm. Yeah, maybe we could have like the algorithm level structure.
And if at the same time we could link from the GitHub repo to the docs as well, and they would have the same table. So for each folder, you could see also in the docs table that, hey, here's the algorithm. It also has these frameworks as well. I think it would be a good UX. But definitely let's have an issue and see what other users think. Just an opinion.
Yeah, so just link to the examples from the UI. Okay. Yep. Yeah, I think it will be easier actually to just manipulate, because once we select the algorithm there, we can have the help menu in the right side to just point to directly to the direct example.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the things I think we can a little bit discuss about the UI. So I don't know, do you have any plans to what should you do with 0.12?
This is what I want to talk about. So since we have some time, I think it's great.
Yeah.
I wanted I'm going to start putting another burst of efforts on this from this week and the next and forward. The things I can do immediately is to wrap up the missing fields in the UI form. So the UX where a user can see the trial and submit a new one will be identical. They can do the same things they could do with the old one. And then the last thing would be to handle the config map.
Yep.
I was thinking of right now, even at least for a basic iteration right now, to just do exactly what the current app does, so that we can say that, hey, the new UI is at least on par with the previous one, and then also start the discussion in parallel about, hey, how could we use some Kubernetes RBAC to allow which users in the Kubeflow case to modify the config map, etc. But I was thinking of,
Are you talking about like kdeep config or are you talking about like trial template config maps?
I think the page right now allows you to edit both of them, right?
No, in kdeep config we don't have the page to actually modify it. We can only like modify currently the trial templates.
Okay. I was out of context. Okay, so for the trial template, do you think I should stick to just creating the page recreating what we have right now? Or would you like to, let's say, have a week of some iterations of how we could do it? And if we see that it takes a lot of cycles, then plan accordingly on either to do something.
Yeah, I remember that where actually I think we were thinking with you like about how to make it default config map, like per namespace, not like in the Kubeflow namespace.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is one thing that probably we should try to implement, because I believe currently user cannot access the Kubeflow namespace, right? From the UI.
Okay, I agree as well. Just wanted to see if we're in sync about talking about this effort again and doing it and implementing it. Okay.
Yeah, another page, like the question is like how. I think maybe the first thing we should do, like to be able to deploy this app without Kubeflow central dashboard. This is like we have an issue, I believe, right? Where is it? Yeah, standalone mode, right? So I think this is like the first priority. I don't know, like what do you think? Is it like the first priority task right now?
Yes, and although it is already in a standalone mode, I mean,
okay,
we don't have to do something specifically for it to work in standalone mode. Right now, it can work.
How does it work? Like,
yeah, go on.
Yeah, I mean, how you can select the namespace in standalone mode right now?
The application will show you a selector where you can click and select the namespace, because the dashboard is not present. So yeah, it will show you a selector.
And it will show the all namespaces?
Correct.
Okay, I see. Yeah, in that case, if it's okay, and the selected namespace in the child template are also working, right? And I mean, in the submission of experiment, once you submit the experiment, you can select the namespace for the config maps.
Right now, correct. Yeah.
Okay. Any other things that we should complete in, I mean, talking about like this issue for the standalone mode? Like the menu that we discussed before, like, do you think how we can actually implement it without the menu?
We can have in the standalone mode. Once we have a page for the config maps, we can either have a hamburger menu with a left sidebar that
Okay.
appears and tells you to either edit the config maps or do the experiments. But I want to first wrap my head around how we will handle the config maps. What's our
Yeah.
UX going to be around creating new trial template? I'm talking about trial templates.
Okay.
How we will allow the users to create the trial templates per namespace and configure them. And once we have this idea, we can at the same time also discuss about, okay, let's have a distinct page then for listing the templates and editing them. Or once we're in namespace, click on a button and edit them and see how to integrate them. But as for right now, we don't have an issue with this. The app, for what it's offering, it's working with both standalone and Kubeflow mode. So now the question comes: once we add new features, how can we integrate them in both modes? But we'll be discussing them once we
I think this is the biggest question, because like I believe for Kubeflow mode we don't want to provide the user functionality to edit the config maps, the trial template config maps in all namespaces. So we could probably also have the same structure once the user click on this trial template config maps edit page. We can have like a select box for the standalone mode, and we can just hide the select box for the Kubeflow mode. So basically, in the Kubeflow mode, user can only modify the trial templates in like their namespace, right? But in the standalone mode, they can do the same what they can do right now. Yeah, because
I think that we can tackle it uniformly by having as a first step a button in the initial page when you list your experiments.
Okay.
Where it says edit your config maps. So in the sense that you will first need to have selected the namespace, and when you click to edit the config maps, then you're automatically editing the config maps of that namespace.
Yeah, I see. So basically, you just modify only the current, like the config maps in the current namespace. Yeah, I think it might make sense. But the question is, like, you still want to have a button, right, instead of menu to.
I think we can do a menu as well, but just ensure that the user have selected the namespace first, and that this page will tell you that, hey, you're editing the config maps of this namespace.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think it is fine to actually just define the trial template right now. Yeah, let me just put it. So basically, for the trial. Yeah, so user just first select namespace. Config maps.
Also, I'll try to do some iterations on how this looks, and I'll ping on Slack so we can see it live as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it makes sense. Also, like, yeah, because the question is like, I'm not sure like you have the best way to actually show all of the config maps right now, and maybe you have any ideas, we can just discuss about it. Okay. Yeah, let me, because I just want to show to just see how does it work right now. Yeah, because currently I'm not sure that this is the best way of showing trial templates. But basically, as I said, like we just in our like experiment monitor, you just select the namespace, right? And you just click on this button, and you just go here, and we don't have this config map namespace like filter. We will just show the config maps in the one particular namespace, right?
So the question is, as you mentioned, in that case, you can, what is not covered from what we described is the fact that right now there's a button that says all namespaces and shows you everything.
Yeah, we were not covering it right now. I don't know, like, do we actually need to cover it?
I think that for the Kubeflow case, where we expect users to only have access to specific namespaces, maybe it would make sense to have a button that, okay, I think this might make sense to have a button that it's not all namespaces, but have a parenthesis that explains that namespace that user has access to. So if I have access to 3 namespaces, it can show me the name for these 3 namespaces. Right now, I think the central dashboard has such an API for showing that, hey, for this user, you can access these namespaces. This is how the dashboard shows you the namespaces. So maybe we can see if it makes sense to create that.
How user can access more than one namespace? Is it done like by profile controller?
Right now, it's actually a little bit hacky because the profile controller actually interacts with KFM, a component for access management. But this KFM actually just adds some annotations to some role bindings and RBAC. It doesn't do anything magic there. But Yanis is already moving towards removing Kubeflow access management and only relying in RBAC. So I have to see and actually make a more concrete proposal on that and say, okay, we could do this, but we will have to interact with KFM and here and provide a more concrete plan.
Yeah, because I don't see a lot of examples of ones like user can access more than one actually profile namespace. It's maybe only like if you have like the admin user, they can access the all namespaces, right? Even the Kubeflow one.
I think no, even all via the UIs, the admin user would still need to have profile accesses via the profiles and KFM to have specific access to namespaces.
Okay. But if we if we have this sort of the API, I don't know, it might make sense to actually access all of these 3 namespaces and just all of the namespaces. But I think for the first iteration, maybe we can as well, maybe we can not implement this all of them namespaces.
Yeah, this is what I was thinking as well.
Yeah, it will be easier, I agree. But go ahead.
What I was going to say, what you would also say in the beginning, say that for now we just do it per namespace. And if we see also people saying that, hey, we used to be able to select all the config maps, then we could start an issue and say, okay, here's how we can do it for the Kubeflow mode. For the standalone, we'll just show you all the namespaces. For the Kubeflow one, we will query KFM or Kubernetes RBAC, and
Okay, yeah, makes sense. But again, we can also like here you can create a new config map, which is basically you're able to actually create the completely new config map. And in this actually form, I think, I don't know if this will work. Yeah, it will show you a completely new config map with the different trial template. It might make we probably should also like try to implement it in our like new page. Yeah, about the design, I don't know. We can think how we can make it better here, or how we can even like deploy the default one, this one, trial template with the 3 predefined trial templates. Because like in general, once user create the profile, user will not see the trial templates in this profile, as we discussed before. Like they will not see the trial templates config map in this profile namespace. Yeah, and the question is
how can we by default
how we can deploy this default config maps. I don't know. We can use like this page to say if you want to just deploy the default one, you can just simply press the button and it will automatically deploy these config maps for you.
I think, the UX you had described, and I still think it makes sense, is that if in that page the UI detects that you have no config maps in the namespace, it can have a button that says create some default config maps, and it will just copy the ones from the Kubeflow namespace or just some default config maps and create them. So you can have some first
Again, like,
UX.
will it be possible to copy if we don't have access? Oh, I think it should be possible because like the UI in the Kubeflow namespace
Exactly.
has this airbag. Okay. Okay.
The server has the permission, so it can
Yeah.
copy from one namespace to another.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to actually copy in the user namespace. Yeah, I think it's like it's a good actually feature also to make possible to deploy completely new config map with a
Yeah, of course.
completely
Yeah.
new like
Definitely.
with a new name and selected namespace. But again, like if we say like for the Kubeflow mode, we will not have this selector.
Exactly. It will be the already selected namespace.
Yeah. But in general, I mean, if you have any ideas how we can show these config modes better, I don't know. Because currently you can click edit here, you can change the name of the path. So basically this is the path inside the config map.
Looking on a first looking at it, just looking at it, I think it's more than okay, the current UX. I'll see if I can think of something
Okay,
different, but we
okay.
could also use that as well.
Yeah, I think maybe, yeah, just let's try to follow it. If we have any ideas, we can discuss about it as well. Yeah, other things that we should probably cover before we can merging the changing the new one. It's about the NAS, and I'm not sure, like, we still don't have a plan to creating the different CRD for NAS currently. We actually discussed with Josh, like, is it possible to create the summit in June to maybe ask user what exactly they want to see in the different experiments for KDIP. But for now, like from the UI perspective, I don't know, like, do you know how much effort will it take to actually integrate these graphs inside just a simple experiment view?
Well, what do you mean, the
Like, I mean,
graphs?
yeah, I don't know, like if you have you checked how does it work right now for the NAS for how we actually show the particular like the model. I mean, like, have you tried to actually run the NAS algorithms in the KDIP UI?
Oh, I
Yeah,
haven't. You mean that it's not just the one with the many columns like we do
yeah,
with hyperparameter tuning. It's a
yeah.
different
It's like,
graph for the
yeah,
NAS.
it's like more than, it's like just one graph. I don't know. Maybe the question is right now, do we want to implement it before we merging to this new UI or after? What is your thoughts? What is like the
No,
first priority issue should be?
as okay, for aside from, yeah, we should definitely have this graph to be the same as it currently is, or at least
Mm-hmm.
provide a similar UX. But this is on my side. I should have tried this NASA. I didn't see it. Okay. Yeah, no, it should definitely be an item before migrating to have a graph that does a similar job to what the current graph for NAS
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
But
Um,
was the question also about splitting the page and the UX for doing HB tuning from NAS, or only for the graph for now?
I think for submitting experiment, you don't really need to actually right now creating two different pages, because right now the difference is in the submitting experiment only in operations. So if you take a look in the examples here, the difference is only that we have NAS config here, and we have graph config, which is like number of layers, input sizes, output sizes, and instead of like search space with parameters, we have operations here. I think you have already like implemented part of this in the UI in the submission experiment, but overall experiment looks super similar because we're using the same CRD for NAS and for HP tuning.
Yep.
Yeah. So maybe I think currently we can use the same. We can use the same page for submission experiment, and once users select like one of two algorithms for NAS, we will just simply extend the submission page with the operations and with NAS config What do you think?
That's what happens right now.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
once
that's
they
what's
select
happening.
the NAS, it will swap, as you mentioned, the parameters to NAS operations and NAS
Yeah,
config.
yeah, I
But
think
the
it's
graph is something I'll also create an issue for the graph for NAS
okay.
to see how we can
Okay.
do it. Thanks for mentioning as well.
Yeah, because the question is like again with the graphs, I'm not sure that this is the like we really need to follow this way, because in the real use case example, we should probably provide the functionality to upload this model directly to have some sort of the model management for the NAS. Currently, we don't have it, and we don't have the feature to actually upload this model directly to the user. Um,
I
yeah,
think
but
this
this,
is a feature that's really hot in the entire Kubeflow right now. Even for Kube
yeah.
serving, they discuss it for the summit, and generally
Mm-hmm.
the integration of a feature store for storing the features of a model, the model
Mm-hmm.
itself. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
this
think
is
it would be great if we came something in the Kubeflow, some sort of the model management part, because it will be like super helpful for all components.
yeah, it's actually the common ground that all of the I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Kubeflow is not just an ML platform because it deploys applications on Kubernetes. It deploys machine learning and models on Kubernetes. So tracking
Yeah,
these models and their features is definitely something that we will need to address in a common way.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Right now, I'm not sure that we have some sort of the model management there, um, but yeah, from our perspective, we should probably think how we can do it. Yeah, we can wait some time, but in general, yes, if it is like easier, I think we're using currently the graphics, which is library to just show the graphs, but it's like we can use whatever like easier for now for the implementation, because I'm still like not really sure that this is the best way of showing the NAS and the UI, because the question is like for darts, for example, which is another algorithm, we're not like currently showing anything in the UI because the output is different from the eNAS that we have.
Oh, so you mean that
Yeah,
for the neural architecture search, the graph might even depend on the specific algorithm?
yeah, of course, and we also could have like a micro search, which is basically searching for the particular cell, and we have, for example, like we have micro and macro search, and we can do macro search, which is just which is searching for the whole neural network, and we can make a search micro search, which is searching for the particular cell.
Hmm.
And for example, for darts, we're also doing macro right now, but in general, we're not showing this in the UI because the output of the darts is different from the output for the eNAS. Yeah, but I don't know. We can maybe, because currently for the at least for the first implementation, we can show a graph only for the eNAS for this algorithm.
Okay, it's not an issue about even doing something different from its algorithm, but let's just document that, hey, this is what the output of the
Yeah.
INAS of the darts, at least to help me as well to figure out, okay, this is what we need to visualize. Let's discuss what graphs we can use to visualize it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Like enough will be enough for now. I'm pretty sure, because if we decide to actually, because it's for us, it's like super hard to actually have some sort of the system which just, I mean, we just show everything depending on the algorithms, because algorithms they're like super different, and we don't have like a unique structure to show.
Hmm.
Yeah, to just have these models to show these models to the user, and it's like kind of hard to to think how we can do it in the UI. Yeah, but this definitely should be the next step after we think it uh, how we can, I mean, create the model management and model constructor. Yeah, but this is another story. Maybe different CRDs.
And by model management, can you just what exact some first features? What do you have in mind about model management?
So first feature, I think definitely we should maybe provide the functionality to be able to upload this model to some sort of the format. Like maybe we can use ONNX for example, but not all of the frameworks support ONNX. PyTorch is kindly, they're trying to support it. I think I know that TensorFlow support this format, but we don't have like unique format which will be possible to implement in all frameworks. I'm not sure that we have this sort of the format for the model.
So once the Katib trial finds the best model, it would convert it to this command on an end for now and save it somewhere.
Yeah. Yes, will be like the best way to just actually having this model management part. Yeah, I think this is definitely can be discussable how we can store the model, because I'm not sure that we have like the best way to do this.
And just another question. Sorry if it's a very basic question, but when you say to store the model, you mean the weights and the features of the biases of the model, or the architecture of the model as well?
Actually, it will be great if we can also like provide the weighted model. So for example, like Dart, it automatically trained the model during the searching for the best model. And we can, because currently the graph, you can just construct the model without like the weights. So basically from scratch. But yeah, it would be great if we can also like storing the model with pre-weighted results and with the biases.
Okay, so in one case, you just store the structure of the model, like I'm going to use an LSTM here, a recurrent network there, a single, this many number of neurons there. And then actually, you might need to just store that somehow, but then also store it with some predefined values for the neurons.
Yeah, because for that we definitely should have some sort of the framework which can store this model. I know in H5 format or in some other format. Yeah, we still don't know. Yeah, because currently, as you can see, we just show the user for the ENAS, which we're using only convolutional neural network right now. We're not using RNN or LSTM or any other neural networks. So currently only SNN and only for the ENAS, which is using reinforcement learning. So basically generating new candidates depending on the reward. And this is how we actually show this to the user. So it has some sort of the graph and each graph, just each like cell represent the layer of the neural network. So this is the first layer. This is the second layer, this is the third layer, this is the fifth layer. And at the end, we have the like average pooling and fully connection softmax. So this is like the neural network which user can take. And I mean, these lines mean skip connections. Yeah. And I mean, this graph user, like data scientists, they can take it and they can construct the model depending on this graph. So this is what we're doing currently. Which is
okay.
Yeah. How we can construct in this model, I can also like show you later, but we just getting this information from the suggestion. So we have the architecture and we have like the neural network convec, and I can just explain you as well later how does it work. But basically, we just construct the graph using these two variables.
Okay, so you can okay. I think I get the idea of it.
Yeah.
So right now there's no uniform way of converting these models into a uniform format to store them somewhere.
Yeah, and that will be like super hard to actually have this way because we don't have like the ideas how we can do it for many different algorithms.
Okay.
Yeah. But for example, like other frameworks, they also like using the graph structure to show the model, and also like show, as I said before, like showing the micro search, like showing the particular cell, not like the whole neural network. Just showing like the cell they're trying to tune, they're trying to search. So the graph is like the good way to actually show the model. And a lot of like papers, they're using this same structure to show the neural network. But again, in the best way, we definitely should provide the functionality to have this model, as you said, like with pre-weighted, with the biases and with the weight, yeah, to actually use this model in the future.
Okay.
So yeah,
Interesting.
do you think it will be hard to actually implement at least this graph to the UI?
No, it shouldn't be hard, and I'm also getting some cool ideas on how we can make it visually more appealing, like not having from the top to bottom, but from left to right, and with some more colors to make it more helpful to the eye. But yeah, I'm getting some ideas. We can at least do that as well. I might ping you on some more technical details, like how can I actually construct this graph. But these are technical, and we can sort them out. But I think it's more than feasible to do this. Okay, so I'll definitely add it in the backlog. So the priorities will be the form, which is it's 3 days work at most, so we can have the form ready. Then it's the config map, editing the config maps and the for the trial templates.
Okay.
And then the NAS graphs, the first iteration for that. And I believe that these are the major ones that we have for the parity of the UIs, at least with our best understanding for now.
Yeah, let me just fastly double check that we just cover everything. Yeah, allowed to do the experiment when not selected on central dashboard. Okay, I think it's covering status field. Yeah, this is some minor changes which we can do in the same time, like extending the statuses with the early stopping, with the
yeah, definitely.
This is not like the big point. Underlying suggestion, manage trial templates, sorting. Yeah, the sorting. I don't know. You said like before, it will be hard, right, to actually implement the sorting in the table.
By sorting, we mean sort different columns of the table.
Yeah. In the HP tuning.
Okay. Sorting based on the name, on the date, etc.
Yeah. For example, for example, based on the accuracy, to just sort the table based on
this one, I think. Yeah, it will need. It's not a huge amount of effort, but it can be done. Right now. I wanted to tackle the. Sorry, I won't take it too long. I want to tackle how to do filtering on all of the web apps.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, it's fine. We can discuss about it later if you're just trying to, to think how we can filtering like across the different UIs, because it's really, yeah.
It's not something too difficult, but I want to have a good proposal for all of them at once. So it will need just a little bit more time for that one.
I agree, definitely. Yeah, I think and this is pretty much it we have, because you've done a lot of effort, and I think at least these two big things that we can try to implement will simplify the process for the user. I definitely agree. I think it should be possible that we will merge to the new UI to the next release, because even now, like even the new algorithms, we're just directly modifying the new UI. We're not touching the old one. And it makes sense to actually merging in the new release.
I just remembered. I have some questions. Actually, I'm going to ask you in Slack. I don't want to keep the meeting, but just about integrating with end-to-end tests and the CI to at least have some unit tests at least. But then I also want to see how are you doing the end-to-end tests. If it would be possible to at least launch the application and do some basic end-to-end tests, like create an experiment, delete it, and all of this stuff. Yeah. I'm also looking to do that for the other web apps, but I want to see how you do it in Katib to see.
This is this is the good thing. We're currently not doing the testing for the UI, and we currently don't have any end-to-end testing. And even like unit test, we don't have. We have like unit tests for the all other controller part, but for the UI we don't have it. But this definitely will be possible, because we have the CI/CD pipeline, and we can just extend it with if you have the unique structure for the all UIs, we can just like using the same for the Katib, like to click to this button.
quick question, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around. Even for the end-to-end tests of the other components, how are you deploying the manifest of the controller and then running the tests?
Oh, we have the AWS cluster, and we just simply deploy the KDeep infrastructure there, and we just apply the experiment. And each experiment we just try to have the experiment from start to end and just analyze the results. That's it.